Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim strongly advocates for reasoned discourse in accordance with maqasid syariah and not enmity or hatred when responding to Islamophobia to maintain order and peace. In his keynote address at the International Forum on Islamophobia, Meaningful Engagement through Madani Discourse today, Datuk Seri Anwar said reform of ideas is needed in both the West and the Muslim world to have a better understanding of each other. The Prime Minister also expressed hope that Malaysia could organise a conference in the future that involve experts that represent Islam and other religions that exist in Malaysia, as well as the West, to have a better understanding of the issue through a discourse.
Alhamdulillahillazi anzala ala abdihil kitab. Cadangan kita adalah menggalakkan wacana. Sebab itu disebut discourse. Kerana kita bukan menganjurkan pertentangan, kita menganjurkan kesefahaman. Dan seringkali saya mulakan dengan mengingatkan bahawa walaupun temanya itu Islamophobia, ya, kerana kebetulan ia menjadi suatu permasalahan besar dengan kebangkitan faham perkauman sempit, racism atau fascism. Ada yang dikatakan ekstrim kanan.
In Malaysia, the Prime Minister said, although the country does not face the issue of terrorist cells, thanks to the continuous hard work of the security forces, it needs to be wary of the issue of purveyors of violence. The forum was held to address the pressing issue of Islamophobia in the spirit of Malaysia Madani in light of the recent public burning of the Quran by extremists in Sweden, as well as other incidents around the globe. On a related note, Datuk Seri Anwar said the allocation of 10 million ringgit given to Yayasan Restu for the immediate distribution of 20,000 copies of Al-Quran translation in Swedish, as well as other major foreign languages, is appropriate. In fact, Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said the amount was actually small for a start, as the effort would also benefit the people in general in increasing the understanding of Islam.
Masalah sekarang ini masalah kefahaman. Mengapa yang menentang Islam dia tak pernah baca? Yang lawan balik pun dia semua orang tak betul. Itu masalah juga. Semua orang kalau tak setuju dengan dia semua liberal, semua sekular, semua barat. Jadi kita kena baca balik teks, baca terjemahan, baca tafsir dan kurang-kurangnya boleh selamatkan sementara mengangkat dan penghayatan Islam ini.
He said this in response to the issue concerning allocation for Yayasan Restu for the distribution of Al-Quran translation in Swedish, which was criticised and deemed too big. In his Budget 2023 speech last Friday, Datuk Seri Anwar announced that the government would give 10 million ringgit to Yayasan Restu for the immediate distribution of 20,000 copies of Al-Quran translation in Swedish, as well as other major foreign languages. He said this following his announcement on 27 January that Malaysia will print 1 million copies of the Al-Quran as a symbol of wisdom and maturity in response to recent attacks against Islam, such as the burning of the Al-Quran in Sweden. The government did not propose salary increments for civil servants in the 2023 budget, as it could lead to a large budget deficit, according to Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim. Datuk Seri Anwar, who is also Finance Minister, said a high budget deficit would dampen investors' confidence in the country, as they would not be convinced there was a strong political will to manage the country well.
Apa dia problem kita? Hutang 1.5 trilion, defisit 5.6%. Kalau kita tambah gaji, defisit jadi 6.5%. Tak ada orang datang melabur lagi negara. Dia tak yakin ada kekuatan tekad politik untuk mengurus negara dengan baik.
Datuk Seri Anwar said this in response to Congress of Union of Employees in the Public and Civil Services Malaysia QPAC's President, Datuk Adnan Mat's remarks that there was no commitment shown by the government to re-evaluate the new public service remuneration system in order to increase salaries in Budget 2023. Datuk Seri Anwar, however, called on QPACs to be patient, as the government's priority now is to help the poor group of the people. Last Friday, he tabled the national budget for 2023 with a total allocation allocation of 388.1 billion ringgit, comprising 289.1 billion ringgit for operating expenditure and 99 billion ringgit for development expenditure, including 2 billion ringgit as contingency savings. Under the budget, the government also agreed to give a special Aidil Fitri assistance of 700 ringgit to all civil servants of grade 56 and below, including those on a contract basis, and 350 ringgit to pensioners. The number of premises offering menu rahmah is expected to double in March from over 700 food stalls and restaurants nationwide at present. Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Minister Datuk Seri Salahuddin Ayub said a twofold increase in the figure, including through the participation of fast food chain, is expected soon. Datuk Seri Salahuddin said to date the ministry received no reports saying that the food offered under the initiative is of low quality or not nutritious.
Setakat ini kita tidak menerima apa-apa aduan, komplain ataupun rakyat yang tidak bersetuju ataupun mereka mengatakan menu ini low class ataupun tidak bermutu, tidak berkhasiat. So far kementerian tidak menerima aduan rasmi seperti itu. Kerana saya dah sebut daripada awal, players ataupun tuan-tuan punya kedai, persatuan industri makanan yang kita ada kali buat urus, termasuk Pelas pada hari ini, mereka tidak paksa. Kita tak pernah impose apa-apa peraturan undang-undang pada mereka. Sukarela untuk membantu mereka yang memerlukan.
He said this to reporters after observing the implementation of the Menu Rahmah initiative at the Denker Rest and Service R&R area southbound today, with Works Minister Datuk Seri Alexander Nantalinggi also present. Menu Rahmah is a voluntary program launched by the Domestic Trade and Cost of Living Ministry (KPDN) to offer meals at 5 ringgit and below. Meanwhile, Datuk Seri Alexander said some 215 stalls in R&R areas along all highways had offered Menu Rahmah to date, with additional 100 stalls expected to join in the initiative next month. A former radio presenter, Isma Halil Hamzah, was today offered to enter his defence by the Kuala Lumpur High Court on a drug trafficking charge. Judge Datuk Muhammad Jamil Hussein made the ruling after finding that the prosecution had succeeded in establishing a prima facie case against Isma Halil, 49, at the end of the prosecution case. Muhammad Jamil, in his summary judgment, said the court found that the 22 packets of drugs found in Isma Halil's room were in his control and custody. During the raid, the accused himself picked up the bag containing the drugs and gave it to the police officers after being asked if there was any contraband inside. According to the presiding judge, the behaviour of the accused in picking up the bag himself was seen to be suspicious, showing that he knew the presence of the drug. Therefore, the prosecution succeeded in proving that the drug was under the control of the accused. The court set 30th and 31st May for the defence trial. Isma Halil had pleaded not guilty to a charge of trafficking 374.6 grams of cannabis at a house in Jalan Semarak, Wang Semaju on 27 August 2021. A plantation worker was fined 6,500 ringgit in default 6 months in jail by the Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court today for improper use of the network facilities by sending offensive communications involving the Yang di-Pertuan Agong on his Facebook page in December last year. Judge Nur Hasniah Abdul Razak meted out the fine on Muhammad Hanis Nordin, 34, who pleaded guilty to making and initiating the transmission of offensive communications using the Facebook profile page as Bull with the intention of annoying others on 10th December last year. The link was viewed at the Bukit Aman Commercial Crime Investigation Department office on 13 December 2022. The charge frame under Section 233, Subsection 1, Subsection A of the Communications and Multimedia Act 1999 and can be punished according to Section 233, Subsection 3 of the same law, provides a maximum fine of 50,000 ringgit or imprisonment for up to 1 year or both, and can be fined a further 1,000 ringgit for each day the offence continues after conviction. In mitigation, Muhammad Hanis, who was unrepresented, said he was remorseful and regretted his action. Deputy Public Prosecutor Nur Ilya Elina Nur Azmal prosecuted. For Port Dickson Municipal Council, MPPD employees pleaded not guilty in the Serban Sessions Court to charges of soliciting and receiving bribes from traders between 2017 and 2020. They are Enforcement Assistant Azman Hadidan 55, Assistant Environmental Health Officer Khairil Rizal Mahtar 45, and 2 Public Health Assistants are Fizi Mustafa 38 and Muhammad Azmi Muhammad Hashim 41. Azman was charged with 2 counts of soliciting and receiving bribes of 400 and 300 ringgit respectively from 2 traders as an inducement not to take action against them for operating their business without a valid license at Pasar Pagi Lukut. Khairul Rizal was charged with soliciting 1,000 ringgit from a car wash shop owner as an inducement for him to get the support of MPPD to obtain a business license. Muhammad Azmi was charged with committing a similar offence by soliciting 1,800 ringgit from a guava trader at Pasar Malam Lukut, while Arfizi was charged with 2 counts of soliciting and receiving 500 ringgit from the same trader as an inducement not to take action for operating his business without a license. Judge Rushan Lutfi Muhammad allowed Muhammad Azmi and Khairul Rizal bail of 8,000 ringgit each, while bail for Azman and Arfizi was set at 10,000 ringgit each, and they were also ordered to report themselves at the Port Dickson MACC office once a month pending disposal of their case. The court set 29th and 31st March for mention of the cases for submission of documents. FGV Holdings Berhad sees its plantation sector operations continuing to improve this year through mechanization, replanting programs and cost optimization initiatives as it manages rising operational costs and energy prices. Group Chief Executive Officer Datuk Dazrul Mansur said as a result of its enhanced equipment strategies executed throughout the year, the shortage of foreign workers shrunk from 32% in 2021 to 13% in 2022. He said that the group is expecting to receive about 5,000 foreign workers in the second quarter of this year and targeting to bring in about 10,000 foreign workers before the end of the year.
We have invested, one of the things that we need to do, or we have or in the process of doing, is to upgrade workers' housing. And we've spent close to 300 million ringgit to upgrade workers' housing. Others will be ensuring that the workers have access to their passports, and the workers would work the prescribed working hours in accordance to the labour laws of Malaysia.
He said this in a media briefing on the group's fourth quarter financial results ended 31st December 2022 today. FGV's net profit rose to 1.32 billion ringgit in the financial year ended 31st December 2022 from 1.17 billion ringgit in the previous year, attributed to higher average crude palm oil CPO prices and better contribution from its logistic business. FGV said profit in the plantation division jumped to 2.1 billion ringgit from 1.6 billion ringgit recorded in the previous financial year. UK and EU leaders to meet to finalise Northern Ireland deal. There are more coming up in our fourth segment. An Italian official told the media that the death toll in a migrant shipwreck near the southern Italian coast has risen to at least 61 as searches continued for missing people. The wooden sailing boat carrying migrants to Europe had sailed from Turkey and crashed early yesterday against rocks near Steccato di Cutro, a seaside resort on the eastern coast of Calabria. Manuela Cura, a provincial government official, said a total of 61 people have been found dead so far, while 80 were rescued. Authorities said earlier that the vessel was carrying people from Afghanistan, Iran and several other countries, and the victims included 12 children. She added that based on reports from survivors, authorities believed 180 to 200 people in total had been on board the vessel. One survivor was arrested on migrant trafficking charges, but the Guardia di Finanza Customs Police said they were finalizing the arrest of 2 more people on suspicion of cooperating with the alleged smuggler. Charity Doctors Without Borders (MSF), operating on the ground, said they were assisting several people who had lost relatives in the shipwreck. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif today said more than 24 Pakistanis were believed to have been among those who drowned. British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak is expected to announce a new deal on post-Brexit trade rules for Northern Ireland, gambling that the reward of better terms with the European Union is worth the discord it might cause within his own party. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen will travel to England for final talks, with a press conference penciled in for the afternoon if the two sides can agree terms. The deal seeks to resolve tensions caused by the 2020 post-Brexit arrangements governing the British province and its open border with EU member Ireland, but it remains to be seen whether it will go far enough to end political deadlock in Northern Ireland and satisfy critics in Britain. Sunak is hoping that a successful negotiation will clear the way for him to focus voters' attention on domestic reforms as he seeks to overcome the opposition Labour Party's large lead in opinion polls before a national election expected in 2024. The deal is expected to ease physical checks on goods flowing from Britain to Northern Ireland and give the British province a say over the EU rules it has to implement under the complicated terms of Britain's exit from the bloc. But the overall success of any deal could hinge on whether it convinces the pro-British Democratic Unionist Party, DUP, to end its boycott of Northern Ireland's power-sharing arrangements. The United Nations Humanitarian Air Service UNHCR and a World Food Programme WFP spokesperson said today that the UN peacekeeping mission has suspended flights in Congo's North Kivu province following an attack on its helicopter last Friday. Claude Kalinga, WFP spokesperson to the Democratic Republic of Congo DRC, said flights between the provincial capital Goma and eastern cities of Beni and Bunia have been suspended until further notice. The UNHCR said in a statement on 24 February, a helicopter operated by UNHCR came under heavy fire about 10 minutes outside of Goma as it returned from Walikale to Goma. The helicopter was able to land in Goma, the UN agency said, adding that 3 crew members and 10 passengers were unharmed. Kalinga said the armed group that attacked the helicopter has not been identified and that flights would only resume after an assessment of the security situation. The UN peacekeeping mission MONUSCO said 1 UN peacekeeper was killed in eastern DRC on 5th February when a helicopter operated by the peacekeeping force came under fire while in mid-air. The UN peacekeeping mission of around 80,200 personnel has been deployed in eastern Congo since taking over from a previous UN operation in 2010. Its mandate includes supporting the Congolese government's effort to stabilize a region wrecked by rebel violence. Dimension-hopping adventure Everything Everywhere All at Once grabbed the top movie trophy at the Screen Actors Guild Award, a major predictor of success at next month's Oscars. The movie about a Chinese-American laundromat owner struggling to finish her taxes also claimed 3 acting awards for lead female actor Michelle Yeoh and supporting actors Ki Hui Kwan and Jamie Lee Curtis. The winners were chosen by members of the SAG-AFTRA Acting Union. The film honorees are closely watched because actors make up the largest group of voters for 12 March Academy Awards. An overwhelmed Yeoh spoke through tears as she accepted her trophy. Kwan, a former child star who had given up on acting for years, claimed the trophy for male actor in a supporting role. Choking back tears, the Vietnamese-American actor said he was the first Asian to win in the category. Jamie Lee Curtis, who played an exacting tax agent in Everything Everywhere All at Once, claimed the award for female actor in a supporting role. Brendan Fraser, meanwhile, won Best Male Movie Actor for The Whale. Next in sports, Nori outduels Alcaraz in 3-set battle to win Rio Open. Renovating or upgrading existing futsal court facilities is among the main initiatives to be considered by the Ministry of Youth and Sports KBS through allocation from the government through the Budget 2023. Deputy Youth and Sports Minister Adam Adli Abdul Halim, however, said his office needed some time to identify the affected sports facilities to ensure that they are easily accessible not only to national athletes but also to the general public. The Deputy Minister said this recently after attending the opening ceremony of the 2023 Malaysia Premier Futsal League MPFL at the Shah Alam National Sports Complex. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, when tabling the Budget 2023 on Friday, announced that the government has provided an allocation amounting to 324 million ringgit to improve training programs and sports facilities for the benefit of all athletes, including para-athletes. Chairman of the Futsal and Beach Soccer Committee of the Football Association of Malaysia FAM, Datuk Seri Rosmadi Ismail, is optimistic that the participation of several new teams at MPFL 2023 will boost the competition and increase the commercial value of the sports in this country. He added that the new teams in the MPFL competition this season are Johor Darul Takzim, Sabah and PFA Odin Sarawak. The tournament involves 14 teams divided into two groups, each with 7 teams in Group A and B. The competition, which kicked off from 18 February to 5th August, adopts a 2-round league format, home and away, at the venue of the team's choice. British number 1 Cameron Norrie beat top seed Carlos Alcaraz in a thrilling Rio Open final to claim his 5th ATP singles title. The 27-year-old came from a set down to beat the Spaniard 5-7, 6-4, 7-5. Norrie had the first chance to break with the scores at 2-2, taking the game to 40-30 before making 3 unforced errors and allowing Alcaraz to hold serve. Having saved 4 break points, including a set point at 5-4, the Briton failed to force the opening set to a tiebreaker as Alcaraz hammered home a backhand winner to claim the set 7-5. After missing out on 2 break points in Alcaraz's opening service game, Norrie fell to a 3-love deficit in the second, and he cut a frustrated figure as he complained to the umpire about the surface of the court after falling on his back. The 19-year-old Spaniard, after receiving physio treatment, broke back immediately, but Norrie returned the favour and forced a decider. The two players continued to break each other's serve in a back-and-forth contest with Alcaraz, who appeared to struggle with a leg injury, taking a 2-love lead in the final set before a double break from Norrie put him 3-2 up. Despite breaking back straight away, Alcaraz was broken for a 6th time in the match as Norrie took a 6-5 lead to serve for the match. Norrie held, claiming victory with an ace and falling to his knees in delight. It is Norrie's first title of 2023 and just his second on clay, having won the Lyon Open in 2022. Charles Howell pocketed $4 million at the first of Live Golf's 14-event season, producing a flawless final round to win at El Camellón Golf Course in Mayacoba, Mexico. The American will also share a separate $3 million team prize with his Crushers GC teammates after finishing 4 shots clear of Peter Willian. Howell was just 1 stroke behind co-leaders Julian and Taylor Gooch heading the game and gave his competitors little chance as he produced 6 of 8 birdies on the front 9. The day could scarcely have gone worse for Gooch, who carded 5 over par 76 to finish tied for 11th. And there was only bitter disappointment for Julian, for whom the win slipped out of the reach when he landed in the trees en route to a triple bogey on the par 4 12. South African Brandon Gray scored a 4 under par 67 to finish third. The Saudi-backed circuit, whose slogan promises a golf but louder, produces usual party atmosphere, but little in the way of competitive drama, as many of the marquee-caliber names it's lured away from the PGA Tour failed to make an impact in the 2023 season kickoff. Liv's 2023 season kicked off amid ongoing bitterness with the PGA Tour as Chilean Mito Pereira, who finished third in last year's PGA Championship, and Colombian Sebastian Munoz joined Liv earlier this month. Manchester United crushed Newcastle United's hopes for claiming a first domestic trophy for nearly 70 years with a clinical 2-0 victory in the League Cup final at Wembley. A header by Casemiro, followed by Marcus Rashford's strike late in the first half, silenced the hordes of Newcastle fans who flocked to Capitol full of optimism as Manchester United went on to lift the trophy for a sixth time with relative ease. Much of the build-up was about Newcastle's first appearance in a major final since 1999 and an uptick in their fortunes investigated by Eddie Howe since a 2021 Saudi Arabia-led takeover. But Erik ten Hag's resurgent United side showed them how far they still need to go as they claim the club's first trophy since winning the Europa League under Jose Mourinho in 2017, the longest wait for silverware since 1983.
We not only hoping, but to know that it's worth to invest, to know that it's worth to suffer and to sacrifice, and to know that you have to give every day your best to celebrate. And it's all about that. It's about glory and honor. And if you want to prove something, if you want to win something, you have to do it. And otherwise, you don't get it because no one is to bring you something in top football.
There was a little between the sides in a scrappy first half, but the English season's first silverware was effectively decided in the space of 6 minutes towards half-time. United, who beat Barcelona in midweek to reach the last 16 of the Europa League and are still in contention in the Premier League title race, were not at their best, but managed to game expertly once they got their noses in front. And that wraps up news at 10. In our top story, use reasons and not hatred when responding to Islamophobia. Join us again at 12:30 tomorrow afternoon. Till then, I'm Shuhaida Arifin. Have a good night.